going?
Great. Why? What have you heard?
Justin Baldoni is caught up in a tangled mess involving none other than Blake Lively and Ryan Reynolds, and the drama is snowballing fast. Fans and the public can't stop talking as whispers of money, power, and hidden motives spread like wildfire. And guess what? The finger-pointing is getting intense. Word on the street is that Blake allegedly tried to buy Justin's silence with a jaw-dropping $10 million bribe, all to make him drop the lawsuit against her. At first, some dismissed these claims as baseless gossip, but as more details emerge, the puzzle pieces are starting to fit in a way that's raising eyebrows. And Ryan, well, even his biggest supporters are starting to wonder if there's more to this than meets the eye.
Blake Lively filed a complaint against Justin Baldoni and others in California, claiming sexual harassment.
Meanwhile, Justin's camp insists he's not in this for drama. He's just trying to clear his name. Instead of chasing the spotlight, he's keeping a low profile, determined to protect his family from the chaos. He's letting the legal system do its job while staying out of the public eye. But Blake and Ryan, they're out and about, hitting up Hollywood's biggest events, rocking designer outfits, and flashing their best smiles for the cameras. Like nothing's happening.
And let me just say to all of the women out there that are watching, no matter what you do in life, you never, ever, ever go full Amber Heard.
And if that wasn't enough to stir the pot, Ryan reportedly cracked a joke about the whole legal mess at one of these events. Needless to say, people weren't laughing. Many found it downright tone-deaf. If a lawsuit is serious enough to threaten someone's future, turning it into a punchline? Not a good look. And now, insiders say Justin Baldoni's legal team is taking notes. Ryan Reynolds' offhand joke might just come back to haunt them in court.
I'm unaware of anybody, frankly, whose wife has been sexually harassed and has made jokes about that type of situation.
Legal experts speculate that Justin's team could argue that if Blake Lively is truly suffering from emotional distress, why is she and her husband out there cracking jokes and rubbing elbows with Hollywood's elite like nothing's wrong? It's a glaring contradiction. Blake has claimed that she's been pushed out of the industry because of Justin, but from what people can see, she's still attending exclusive A-list events, surrounded by the biggest names in the business. The internet may be buzzing with negative chatter about her, but in reality, her lifestyle doesn't seem to have taken a hit at all. And here's where things take an even darker turn. Reports allege that Blake didn't just try to pay Justin off, she also attempted to ruin his reputation. The most shocking claim?
To take all of these digs at Justin Baldoni, again, which makes all of us not believe that she was actually harassed, and rather they were moving to try to squeeze her and to eventually just have Blake replace Justin Baldoni.
Supposedly, HR complaints were leaked, painting Justin as a problem on set, not just with Blake, but with other actresses too. But hold on, many believe these accusations are either completely fake or suspiciously vague. Normally, when someone is accused of ongoing misconduct, the timeline is crystal clear, but in this case, the details are murky at best. And here's the kicker. Blake herself previously stated in her lawsuit that Sony wasn't responsible for handling HR complaints and directed her to a completely different company, Wayfair. So if Sony wasn't even taking complaints, how did these so-called HR records suddenly appear? Something about this just isn't adding up. The timeline is looking more suspicious by the day. If Blake Lively had these HR complaints all along, why did she wait so long to bring them up in her court filings? Wouldn't she have included all the evidence from the start to make her case stronger?
It's really interesting. A lot of them are just not looking at him at all, even though he's standing and spraying. That's really interesting.
Instead, these so-called documents conveniently surfaced much later, right when public opinion started shifting against her. That's got people wondering, were they created after the fact to back up her claims? And here's where it gets even wilder. A Reddit post from last year alleged that Blake threatened to accuse Justin of something huge in a major newspaper if he didn't go along with how she wanted the movie to be produced. And judging by how things are playing out, it seems like something along those lines might have actually happened.
I defend Justin Baldoni in this lawsuit with Blake Lively because I think she's horrible and she's made up this whole thing because she tried to steal his movie. But He is the most overly feminized man I've had to endure in recent history.
If true, that only raises more doubts about whether she ever intended to handle this fairly in the first place. Meanwhile, Justin isn't just sitting back, he's pushing back with receipts. One major piece of evidence, he's challenging Blake's claim that there was no intimacy coordinator on set and that he made her feel uncomfortable during certain scenes. If Justin can prove there was an intimacy coordinator involved, that could seriously damage Blake's allegations. The question now is, who's really telling the truth? But here's the kicker. Justin has solid proof that there was an intimacy coordinator on set. The truth?
All through the text messages, you'll see over and over and over again him saying, I don't want to hurt her. I want to protect her. Let's give her what she wants.
Blake Lively simply chose not to work with that person. Instead, she insisted that Justin meet with the coordinator alone and then pass along any suggestions to her separately. Strange, right? And if that wasn't baffling enough, Blake allegedly invited Justin to her penthouse multiple times to go over explicit scenes together. Now, does that sound like someone who felt deeply uncomfortable around him? People are scratching their heads at this contradiction. It just doesn't add up. And the drama doesn't stop there. Word is, Blake wanted complete control over the entire movie project. Behind the scenes, she was reportedly making unauthorized script changes without telling Justin. At first, Justin tried to handle things politely, but every time he refused to use her edits, Blake allegedly flipped out. And here's where things take a Game of Thrones level twist. Blake even compared herself to Daenerys Targaryen. That's right. She supposedly warned Justin that if he didn't back down, she could unleash her own dragons, aka her husband, Ryan Reynolds, and her powerhouse friend, Taylor Swift, to stir up trouble for him. Talk about a power move. After that, Justin tried to keep the peace. He even apologized to Blake and assured her that he still valued her input, despite their creative disagreements. But not long after,
So the story goes, essentially, he says she didn't even read the book before signing on to the project. Then she read the book and kind of became consumed with it and wanted to basically introduce her own lines and wanted to become a part of the project and rework the script.
rumors started swirling that Blake was making moves to cut Justin out of the film entirely. And here's where things get really suspicious. Justin actually owns the rights to adapt It Ends With Us, Colleen Hoover's best-selling novel. Now here's the wild part. If Justin were to be found guilty of something serious, like workplace misconduct, the rights to the movie could revert back to Sony or even Colleen Hoover. And guess what that means? Blake would suddenly have a chance to swoop in, buy the rights, and take full control of the film. That's why many people believe that the real game plan here is to damage Justin's reputation just enough to push him out of the project for good. If Justin is out of the picture, Blake gets the final say. She could mold the story however she wants without Justin standing in her way. It sounds like a crazy conspiracy, but when you follow the money and the power dynamics, it suddenly doesn't seem so far-fetched. And the drama doesn't stop there. Blake has accused Justin of running a smear campaign against her, claiming that all the negative press about her is coming straight from his camp. But here's the thing, Justin has receipts. He even shared text messages with his public relations team, straight up asking if they were planting stories against Blake, and their response? A firm number.
Because there are some people who feel like he is the one who's driving all of this
He's
and
pulling
telling
the
Blake.
strings behind.
I don't think that seems very unfair to
Right.
Blake Lively.
That's
to me,
pretty diabolical.
As time passed, it became obvious that the negative headlines weren't coming from Justin's team at all. They were just organic reactions from the public. If Justin were really behind a full-scale smear campaign, you'd expect to see coordinated hit pieces, but so far, nothing points to him pulling the strings. So now the question remains, who's really trying to take down who? And now things are taking an even wilder turn. Justin is claiming that some of his text messages were not just taken out of context in the New York Times, but actually altered. If this is true, it's not just misleading, it's straight up manipulation. The question everyone's asking now, who had the power to do that? Fans are starting to wonder if Blake or Ryan used their industry connections to shape the narrative in their favor. At first, people found it hard to believe that such a high-profile news outlet would tamper with something so serious. But Justin's allegations have thrown everything into chaos. Suddenly, the entire situation feels even more suspicious. What else isn't adding up? But it doesn't stop there. Blake has fired back with her own lawsuit claiming that Justin is responsible for her severe emotional distress. She alleges that he forced her into uncomfortable situations on set. But here's where things get messy. Behind-the-scenes footage tells a completely different story. In the raw, unedited clips, Blake and Justin are seen joking around, laughing, and casually chatting between takes. It's a stark contrast to her claims of distress. And then there's this: Blake has accused Justin of showing up at her trailer when she was half-dressed, but Justin has receipts of his own. Text messages from Blake herself inviting him there. So now, people are left wondering.
Fan theory is that Ryan Reynolds saw that scene in It Ends With Us, and it was a trigger.
Who's really telling the truth? Blake claims she didn't want anyone else around, yet evidence suggests she specifically requested private time with Justin to go over important scenes. So what really happened? Some fans believe she changed her story later, realizing that portraying herself as a victim might strengthen her case in court. If that's true, then this entire situation becomes even more calculated than anyone expected. And here's another twist that's rubbing people the wrong way. While working on a film about domestic violence, Blake was actively promoting her personal business ventures. For many, this felt tone-deaf and opportunistic. Linking a hair care brand or even an alcohol product to a film tackling serious issues raised major eyebrows.
There's certain things that we know Blake has said about Taylor in reference to that battle that do not sit well with Taylor at all. The big one, dragons. Yeah.
Fans questioned if it was appropriate or if it was just another PR move to push her products under the guise of social awareness. And now, the biggest question remains: what is Blake's real plan? Is she desperately throwing accusations at Justin, hoping something sticks? Or could there be another reason she's fighting so hard? Some people believe Blake is terrified that Justin has damaging evidence against her, evidence that could completely change public perception of her. And let's not forget, Blake allegedly offered Justin $10 million to drop the lawsuit. If that's true, what was she really trying to hide? Because if Justin does have proof that exposes her in a bad way, it might be the kind of revelation that shakes Hollywood to its core.
But somebody else who is very connected to this reached out and said, Candace, you're 90% there. You're just missing one thing. And I'm beginning to wonder, and listen, full speculation, no proof, for him to go that crazy.
Blake's fans might see her in a whole new light if they ever found out she tried to frame an innocent man for something he didn't do. And Justin? He's making it clear he's not backing down. His court move, revealing that Blake allegedly tried to pay him off, sends a strong message: he's here to fight. He could have taken the money, walked away, and left the whole mess behind. But instead, he's standing his ground.
You knew me in person longer, you'd have a sense of how flirty and yummy the ball busting would play. It's my love language, spicy and playfully bold, never with teeth.
And that speaks volumes. If Justin really had something to hide, wouldn't it make sense for him to take the deal? Instead, his refusal to accept the alleged $10 million payout makes people wonder, does he know the truth is on his side? And if Blake was so sure her accusations would lead to victory, why would she even try to pay him off?
What?
It's a crazy text.
What are you insinuating? Like, is that a joke?
Yeah.
I was blown away reading it. I really was blown away and honestly weirded out.
Some believe that this desperate move suggests she has something big to hide. Meanwhile, Ryan Reynolds has been acting pretty unbothered. He hasn't exactly held back from cracking jokes in public, which seems risky if his wife is truly in emotional distress. When someone is in the middle of a career-threatening lawsuit, most people don't hit up Hollywood parties smiling for the cameras like everything is fine. Sure, some argue that life goes on and celebrities can't just disappear every time controversy hits, but at the same time, it does seem off to be laughing and living it up when you're supposedly devastated by a co-worker's behavior. Is it a sign that Blake and Ryan are trying to shrug this off like it's nothing? Or is it an attempt to convince the world they don't care about the case because deep down, they know they might not win? But some people think Blake and Ryan's strategy might backfire. While they're out making public appearances, Justin Baldoni is doing the opposite. Instead of fueling the drama, he's been staying low-key, focusing on his family. He was even spotted taking a break in Hawaii with his wife, Emily, and their 2 kids, Maya and Maxwell. Those who've seen him say he looks calm, as if he's distancing himself from all the noise.
Essentially, he says she didn't even read the book before signing on to the project. Then she read the book and kind of became consumed with it and wanted to basically introduce her own lines and wanted to become a part of the project and rework the script.
Unlike Blake and Ryan, Justin isn't making bold public statements, cracking jokes, or posting about the case. Instead, he's letting the legal system handle it. Some fans see that as a sign of confidence, that he knows the truth will come out in his favor. Others believe it's less about strategy and more about protecting his family. After all, when you're up against two massive Hollywood power players, shifting public opinion isn't exactly easy. Blake and Ryan have deep industry connections. They have access to top media outlets and insiders who can help shape the narrative in their favor. And then there's the rumor that won't go away, that Blake pressured Sony to alter the movie script to fit her vision. Allegedly, she even threatened to accuse Justin of something serious if the studio didn't comply. When that didn't work, sources say she went behind Justin's back and tried to work directly with It Ends With Us author Colleen Hoover to push him out completely.
She wrote, "If you ever get around to watching Game of Thrones, you'll appreciate that I'm Khaleesi. And like her, I happen to have a few dragons. For better or worse, but usually for better."
But here's where it gets even more suspicious. Blake reportedly had a plan to expand the franchise by making a prequel or sequel to It Ends With Us, but only if Justin was out of the picture. If Sony and Colleen Hoover regained the rights, Blake could swoop in and strike a deal, without Justin involved at all. So now, people are wondering, was this whole situation just about control from the start? If Blake's plan had worked, Justin Baldoni would have lost all control over a movie he once owned. From the outside, it looks like a strategic power move, one that might explain why Justin refuses to back down, even if it means a long, grueling legal battle. And then there's the Bombshell revelation. Blake allegedly told the New York Times about the lawsuit before it was even filed. That raised major red flags. Why go to the media before even taking it to a judge? Unless the goal was to control the public's perception from the start. This move suggests there may have been a calculated effort to paint Justin as the villain long before any legal documents were even made public.
My money is on Blake Lively being wrong. I think she is 100% wrong. This doesn't make him a good guy, doesn't make Justin Baldoni a great guy. Please do not think I'm a Justin Baldoni stan. I know nothing about him and I hate 90% of Hollywood.
By the time official filings hit the courts, Blake may have already shaped the narrative, making sure that people saw Justin as guilty before he even had a chance to defend himself. But here's the twist. The plan didn't fully work. Instead of Justin's reputation being destroyed overnight, fans started digging deeper. They uncovered clips, texts, and behind-the-scenes details that made Blake's version of events seem inconsistent. Suddenly, social media exploded with users questioning her credibility, saying they weren't buying her story. And then more and more eyebrow-raising details surfaced, like how Blake allegedly wanted to be the intimacy coordinator on set, or how she personally invited Justin to her home to work on sensitive scenes. These revelations didn't just poke holes in her claims, they flipped the entire narrative on its head. Was this ever about justice, or was it about control? Fans couldn't help but question the contradictions. If Blake truly felt so unsafe around Justin, why would she invite him to her home to go over intimate scenes? And let's be real, offering someone a massive hush money payout doesn't exactly scream credibility. If the truth was on her side, why try to buy his silence? Now, the biggest concern is what all of this means for the highly anticipated movie, It Ends With Us. With Justin and Blake locked in a bitter legal battle, some fear that the film's production could be put on ice indefinitely. Others think the studio might be forced to pick a side, dropping either Justin, Blake, or maybe both. If a judge rules in Justin's favor, he could hold on to his rights and continue directing. But if he loses, Blake might swoop in and take over the project. Given how toxic things have become, one thing is clear. There's no way they can work together again. It's now a battle of survival in Hollywood, and only one of them is walking away with control.
When we're dealing with a work setting and somebody is the person who is running the movie, it's their project. I'm like, I've got little monsters, little dragons, and their names are Taylor Swift. I don't often use them, but if you give me what I want, yes, exactly what I want, they are not going to figuratively blow fire on your head.
And then there's Colleen Hoover. How does she feel about her best-selling novel turning into a Hollywood war zone? What should have been an exciting adaptation of her work has now become one of the nastiest feuds in recent memory. Instead of talking about the story of It Ends With Us, people now associate it with explosive accusations, power plays, and legal threats. And here's the question on everyone's mind. Can Blake Lively keep showing up on red carpets, laughing with A-list friends, while still insisting she's suffering from emotional distress? Because as this lawsuit drags on, the spotlight on her behavior is only getting brighter. All eyes are on Blake Lively. Will she adjust her public behavior now that the lawsuit is gaining traction? And what about Ryan Reynolds? Will he tone down the jokes, or will he double down on his carefree attitude? Because if Justin's legal team does decide to use Ryan's jokes against them in court, it could force the couple to take this battle much more seriously. If the court starts questioning whether Blake and Ryan are actually distressed, it could cripple their entire case. After all, if they're out laughing at Hollywood events, how can they argue that they've suffered serious emotional damage? And that's not the only potential game changer, because there's a growing rumor that Justin may have a secret piece of evidence that could blow this case wide open. What if he has emails, recordings, or messages proving that Blake planned to lie from the start? What if he has proof that she was never actually uncomfortable on set, but instead orchestrated this scandal for control over the movie? If Justin drops that kind of bombshell in court, this case could end in an instant, and Blake's career might never recover. If Blake is exposed, it's not just public backlash she'll face, it's the entire industry turning its back on her. Casting directors and producers might think twice before working with someone who could allegedly weaponize accusations over creative disagreements. Hollywood is a business, and if studios see her as a liability, it could cost her future roles and major opportunities. But let's not forget, lawsuits like this can drag on for months, even years. Both sides will likely keep filing motions, gathering evidence, and bringing in more witnesses. The question is, how much more dirt is waiting to be exposed, and who will Hollywood stand behind when the truth finally comes out? There's always the chance that this could end in a settlement, but if the rumors are true that Blake already offered Justin $10 million and he turned it down, that might not even be an option anymore. That means both sides are fully prepared to take this fight to court, letting a judge or jury decide what really went down. And with careers, reputations, and millions of dollars on the line, neither side can afford to lose. Hollywood is no stranger to scandals, but this one, with all the twists, accusations, and hidden agendas, it's shaping up to be one of the biggest controversies in recent memory. The real question is, who's going to come out on top? Is Blake Lively digging herself into a hole she can't escape? Or will she outmaneuver Justin and come out looking spotless? Will Ryan Reynolds keep standing by her, using his star power and influence to shift public opinion in her favor? Or will Justin's calm, collected approach ultimately win him the case in the court of public opinion? One thing's for sure, this battle is far from over. With each new development, the story keeps spiraling into deeper chaos, and the world is glued to every twist. People are watching, picking sides, and waiting to see if the next bombshell confirms what they already believe, or flips everything upside down. In the end, one thing is clear. No amount of fame, power, or Hollywood connections can guarantee an escape from the truth. If Blake did manipulate the situation, it might all come crashing down on her. And if Justin isn't being honest, he could face serious legal consequences. Right now, nobody knows how this will end, but what's undeniable is how quickly a movie project turned into an all-out war, where power struggles and personal agendas took center stage. But here's the real kicker. This drama is far from over. The public is glued to every twist and turn, and with each new revelation, the stakes only get higher. Will Blake's alleged plan actually work? Or did she go too far, risking her own reputation in a battle for control of a film that was never hers to begin with? For now, all eyes are on the courtroom, and Hollywood is waiting to see who will walk away victorious and who will face the fallout. What do you think? Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit that like button, subscribe for more updates, and don't forget to share this video. I'll see you in the next one, because trust me, this story is just getting started.